Have you received a 1099-C form in the mail and don't know what to do next? Many people are confused about whether they owe taxes on canceled debt, and there's a lot of misinformation online about this topic. So in this video, I'm going to break down what a 1099-C form is, why you received it, and whether you actually owe taxes on canceled debt. Plus, I'm going to show you how to properly report it on your taxes to avoid any IRS penalties. I will say I'm not a tax professional, but I've been in this business for a very long time. Please consider subscribing to the channel. So let's first break down what IRS Form 1099-C is. Form 1099-C is a cancellation of debt. It's a tax form that lenders send when they forgive, cancel, or discharge a debt of $600 or more. Think about it this way. Borrowed money isn't taxed because you're expected to pay it back. But when a lender forgives your debt, the IRS may consider it taxable income. And this form notifies both you and the IRS about the amount of canceled debt, which may or may not be taxable. And we'll get to that. And also, why did you receive a 1099-C form? You might get this form if you had debt forgiven, canceled, or settled in situations like this. I often see people get these forms for credit card debt settlement. Maybe you negotiated a lower payoff amount with your creditor. Another reason for this form is a foreclosure or a short sale. Maybe your mortgage lender forgave part of your home loan. I sometimes see that as well. Or maybe you had a car loan default. If your vehicle was repossessed and the lender wrote off the balance, you may have received this form. Another reason is for personal loan forgiveness. I sometimes see this, say if like a lender discharged part of your unpaid loan. And also medical debt cancellation. Like if a hospital or a provider forgave a large amount of medical debt. Something to know is that the IRS assumes that forgiven debt is taxable unless you qualify for an exclusion. So the big question is, do you owe taxes on a 1099-C? Here's where many people get confused. Just because you receive a 1099-C form doesn't always mean you owe taxes on it. There are exceptions that allow you to exclude some or all of the canceled debt from your taxable income. Hopefully that makes sense. So here are some instances you may not owe taxes, like if you were insolvent, like if your total debts were greater than your assets when the debt was canceled. You may qualify for insolvency exclusion, or say like if the debt was discharged in bankruptcy, like if your debt was canceled through a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, like a bankruptcy, it's not taxable. And also like you qualify for mortgage forgiveness release. Some mortgage debt canceled during foreclosure for a short sale may be excluded under certain IRS rules. And again, you're going to have to look up in like some of these technicalities. I'm just kind of giving examples on when you may not have to pay taxes on it. Another one is student loan forgiveness programs, like some of them. Some student loans canceled through government relief programs may not be taxable. And a little bit of a tip here, like if you believe you qualify for one of these exceptions, you may need to file IRS Form 982 to properly exclude the canceled debt from taxable income. And a little piece of advice, if you need to file your 1099-C correctly, H&R Block makes filing easy and helps you determine if your canceled debt is taxable or not. This is what a lot of people have used that I know. And again, I'll throw my affiliate link in the description if you want to use that. And you might be asking yourself, how do I report a 1099-C on my taxes? So here's the thing, if your 1099-C amount is taxable, you must report it on your tax return as other income, which is line 8C of Schedule 1, Form 1040. And the process for doing all this, like step 1 is going to be to review your 1099-C and make sure the lender's details, canceled amount, and your tax information are correct. And if something looks wrong, make sure to contact the lender immediately to dispute it. Step number 2, determine if you qualify for an exclusion using Form 982. Step number 3, if taxable, report the forgiven amount on your 1040 tax return under other income. And then step number 4 is e-file to avoid any mistakes. And again, using H&R Block, you'll get a step-by-step guidance on how to handle this 1099- form the right way and e-file it. Because failing to report a 1099-C properly could trigger an IRS report. And again, there's resources like tax1099.com, H&R Block. Those are probably the most widely used. I'll throw links down in the description. Because we're not trying to get IRS penalties, right guys? Some of the biggest mistakes I see is people ignoring the 1099-C form. Like if you just ignore that thing, it's not good. Or like people assume you owe taxes on it. Again, check if you qualify for insolvency, bankruptcy, or mortgage debt forgiveness exclusions. Another thing people screw up is not filing Form 982. Again, this form is critical if you qualify for an exclusion and want to reduce your tax liability. Another mistake is waiting too long to address all of this. The deadline to file is April 15, so don't put it off. Filing tax forms and handling canceled debt correctly can be extremely confusing. That's where a tool like tax1099.com lets businesses and individuals generate and e-file them online in minutes. And again, H&R Block walks you through the tax filing process step by step, helping you accurately report canceled debt and claim exclusions where applicable. Guys, these links will be in the description. So some final thoughts, because this was honestly a lot here, and even for myself to talk about it. So let's recap this. Receiving a 1099-C form doesn't automatically mean you owe taxes. But that being said, you must report it correctly to avoid IRS issues. If you qualify for an exclusion, make sure you file Form 982 to reduce or eliminate your tax liability. And if you guys have any further questions, hit me up in the comments down below. All the links and guides will be in the description. But guys, before you go, check out this next video. I'm confident that you're gonna love it.